Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, we drift into the invisible world that surrounds us always, a realm of vibrations, frequencies, and waves that shape how we experience everything. This is a world that touches us constantly, yet one we rarely pause to notice. Sound is like a silent sculptor, carving meaning from air, connecting us to distant places and to each other in ways we seldom consider. There are sounds so low, they rest beneath what we can hear, yet our bodies sense them. Infrasound exists below 20 hertz, beneath the threshold of conscious hearing. Your ears may not detect it, but your body does. These gentle vibrations arrive from distant thunderstorms, the shifting of the earth, or the hum of machinery. When they reach certain frequencies, they move through your chest, creating subtle sensations, a quiet pressure, a soft unease, like the air itself is holding something unsaid. There's no sound to name, only the feeling of presence. Even silence carries weight. Some frequencies speak not to the mind, but to something older within us. A quiet knowing that lives in the body, remembering what the ears have forgotten. Drift into that subtle pulse, sensing the gentle hum beneath your skin, feeling the hidden language of the world whispering through your body. Each person's ear canal has a unique acoustic signature. Just as no two fingerprints are identical, no two ear canals share the exact same shape, size, or acoustic properties. The curves, ridges, and dimensions of your ear canal create a distinctive pattern in how sound resonates within it. This uniqueness affects how you perceive pitch, tone, and spatial location of sounds. Researchers can even use these acoustic signatures for biometric identification. Your ear's response to sound is as personal as your DNA. We each hear the world through our own filter, a private acoustic lens that no one else can share. The music that moves you, the voice that comforts you, it all passes through a geometry of bone and tissue that belongs to you alone. Let your awareness drift through that private lens, noticing how every note and whisper is shaped uniquely for you. Your ears remain active even while you sleep. Unlike your eyes, which close and rest during sleep, your ears continue processing sound around the clock. Hair cells in your cochlea keep converting vibrations into electrical signals that travel to your brain. During sleep, your brain simply changes how it responds to these signals, filtering out most routine sounds while remaining alert to potential threats. A baby's cry, a smoke alarm, your name being called. This constant vigilance is an evolutionary safeguard, a night watch that never takes a break. Even in our deepest rest, we remain tethered to the world through sound. Sleep is not silence, but a different kind of listening, a vigilance so ancient it predates consciousness itself. Allow that constant awareness to settle over you like a soft blanket, a quiet tether to the world. Your eyes can trick your ears into hearing different words. When you watch someone say "ga" while the audio plays "ba," your brain often perceives "de," a compromise between what you see and what you hear. This happens because your brain constantly combines sensory information to make sense of the world. When visual and auditory signals conflict, Your mind creates a fusion, sometimes producing something neither sense actually detected. It's proof that hearing is not just about your ears, it's about your whole brain interpreting reality. We don't just hear with our ears or see with our eyes. Perception is a collaboration, a negotiation between senses, where truth is assembled from fragments that don't always agree. Drift in the gentle interplay of senses, noticing how your brain weaves together the world from partial glimpses. Most people dislike hearing their recorded voice because they normally hear it through bone vibration, not air. When you speak, sound travels two ways to your ears, through the air and through the bones of your skull. Bone conduction emphasizes lower frequencies, making your voice sound richer and deeper to yourself. But a recording captures only the airborne sound, the version everyone else hears. When you listen to a recording, you're hearing yourself for the first time the way others do, minus the bone-conducted bass. The difference is jarring, almost like meeting a stranger who claims to be you. We carry two versions of ourselves, the one we know from the inside and the one the world receives. The dissonance between them is a small reminder that we can never fully know how we appear beyond our own skin. Let that duality fade softly, merging inside and outside, familiar and foreign, into quiet understanding. Your eardrums move slightly even before you speak, as your brain predicts your own voice. A fraction of a second before you utter a word, your brain sends a signal to tiny muscles in your middle ear. These muscles tense and dampen your eardrum's response, reducing the volume of your own voice. This allows you to hear yourself without being overwhelmed by the sound, while remaining sensitive to others. It's an active filtering system, proof that your brain is constantly predicting and adjusting, creating a version of reality that prioritizes what matters most. You are always a step ahead of yourself, preparing for the sound of your own existence. Even in speech, the body anticipates a conversation between intention and action that happens too fast to notice. Notice that subtle orchestration within you, a quiet dance of anticipation and perception. Humans can hear between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz, a narrow slice of the vast sonic spectrum. The universe vibrates across an enormous range of frequencies, from the deep rumble of earthquakes at fractions of a hertz to the ultrasonic calls of bats at over 100,000 hertz. Human hearing occupies a modest middle ground tuned to the frequencies most useful for survival. Speech, footsteps, animal calls, weather. Below our range lies infrasound. Above it, ultrasound. Entire acoustic worlds exist beyond our perception. Conversations we'll never hear. Music we'll never know. We live in a small window of sound, surrounded by a vast silence that is not silent at all. What we call hearing is less a sense than a selection, a choice made long ago by evolution about which vibrations matter most. Drift through that narrow band, imagining the infinite realms of sound that lie just beyond reach. Some people experience synesthesia, where they hear silent visual motion. For individuals with visual auditory synesthesia, watching something move in silence can trigger auditory sensations. A bouncing ball might create phantom thuds. Flashing lights might produce clicks or tones. Their brains are cross-wired, with visual processing centers sending signals to auditory ones. It's not imagination. Brain scans show their auditory cortex activating in response to purely visual stimuli. For them, silence is never truly silent when things are in motion. For some, the world speaks in extra languages, where movement itself has a voice. It suggests that our senses are not as separate as they seem, but rivers that sometimes overflow their banks into each other. Allow yourself to imagine hearing movement, a hidden symphony of motion, flowing softly around you. Your brain can reconstruct missing sounds, creating auditory illusions that feel completely real. When listening to distorted audio or speech interrupted by noise, your brain automatically fills in the gaps based on context and expectation. If a cough obscures a syllable in a sentence, you often hear the complete word anyway, not because it was there, but because your brain predicted what should be there and inserted it seamlessly. You're not hearing reality, you're hearing your brain's best guess, polished smooth. Memory and expectation are quiet authors of what we hear. The world we perceive is part truth, part invention. A story our minds tell so convincingly that we mistake it for fact. Feel that soft weaving of expectation and reality, a gentle tapestry of sound and imagination. You can pick out your own name from a noisy crowd, even when you're not consciously listening. At a crowded party, your brain constantly monitors background conversations while you focus on one. Most of it gets filtered out until someone says your name. Suddenly, that word breaks through, capturing your attention. This selective filtering, called the cocktail party effect, shows how your brain prioritizes personally relevant information. It's scanning constantly, sorting signal from noise, keeping you alert to what matters even when you're not trying to listen. We are always listening, even when we think we're not. Some words carry weight that cuts through chaos, proof that attention is not just what we choose to give, but what our brains choose to steal back. Drift with that constant, quiet awareness, feeling the world whisper your name in hidden ways. You can feel low-frequency sounds as subtle vibrations through your skin. Bass frequencies below about 100 hertz don't just enter your ears, they pass through your entire body. At concerts or near subwoofers, you feel the thud in your chest, the rumble in your stomach. These pressure waves interact with your internal organs, skin, and bones. Some frequencies can even synchronize with your heartbeat or breathing. You're not just hearing the bass, you're resonating with it, becoming part of the sound itself. Sound is touch in disguise. The deepest notes don't ask permission. They move through you, erasing the line between listener and instrument. Let your body become the instrument, feeling vibration as both music and motion, soft and alive. Babies can recognize and respond to their mother's voice while still in the womb. By the third trimester, a fetus's auditory system is developed enough to hear sounds from outside. The mother's voice, conducted through her body, is the clearest and most constant sound in the womb. Studies show that newborns prefer their mother's voice over others and can distinguish it within hours of birth. They've been listening for months, learning the rhythm, melody, and pattern of the first voice that mattered. We are shaped by sound before we take our first breath. Before light, before touch, there is voice, a tether to the world, a promise that we are not alone. Let that earliest melody settle in your mind, carrying a gentle rhythm of belonging and comfort. Certain pitches and frequencies can make food taste sweeter or more bitter. Research shows that high-pitched sounds around 2,000 to 5,000 hertz enhance sweetness, while low-pitched sounds below 500 hertz bring out bitterness. Airlines use this principle to adjust in-flight meals. The drone of jet engines can dull taste, so they compensate with extra seasoning. The connection likely stems from cross-modal associations in the brain, where sensory information blends in unexpected ways. Your experience of flavor is not just chemistry, it's also acoustics. We taste with more than our tongues. A meal is an orchestra where every sense plays a part, and sound, quiet as it is, can turn sweetness sour or bitterness bold. Drift in the delicate interplay of senses, tasting sound as part of the world's subtle symphony. There is no sound in space because there's no air to carry vibrations. Sound requires a medium: air, water, metal, anything with molecules that can bump into each other and pass along a wave. In the vacuum of space, there's nothing to vibrate. An explosion in orbit would be completely silent. The roar of a rocket engine, audible from miles away on Earth, vanishes the moment it leaves the atmosphere. What we imagine as the soundtrack of the cosmos, the hum of starships, the blast of lasers, exists only in our imaginations and movie theaters. Space is the ultimate silence, a void so complete it swallows every scream and song. It reminds us that sound is not a given. It's a gift of matter, a consequence of closeness. Drift in that boundless silence, feeling the absence of vibration as a gentle cradle. Let the emptiness teach you how precious even the faintest ripple of sound can be, as we now explore how a snap of leather can outpace the very air itself. The sharp crack of a whip is actually a miniature sonic boom created when the tip breaks the sound barrier. When you snap a whip, the motion sends a wave traveling down its length. As the wave moves from the thick handle to the thin tip, it accelerates. By the time it reaches the end, the tip is moving faster than the speed of sound, around 340 meters per second. The crack is the sound of the tip breaking through that barrier, creating a small shock wave. Just like a jet, breaking the sound barrier creates a sonic boom. It's one of the few ways to exceed the speed of sound with just your arm. A whip is a small rebellion against the laws of physics, proof that speed is not just for machines. In the right hands, even leather can outrun sound. Let that sharp energy dissolve into calm, like a wave after its crest. Now, feel the gentle hum of water carrying vibrations faster than air, a medium alive with whispers of movement. Sound travels about 4 times faster in water than it does in air. In air, sound travels at roughly 343 meters per second. In water, it jumps to around 1,480 meters per second. The difference comes down to density and elasticity. Water molecules are packed more tightly than air molecules, allowing vibrations to transfer more quickly from one to the next. This is why whales and dolphins can communicate across vast ocean distances. Sound carries farther and faster beneath the waves than it ever could above them. The ocean is not a barrier to sound, but a highway. What air muffles, water amplifies, turning the deep into a concert hall where songs can travel for hundreds of miles. Float on that underwater highway, feeling vibrations move effortlessly through your body. Let the unseen waves lift you, carrying you toward the incredible ways sound interacts with matter itself. Sound waves can levitate small objects in midair through a process called acoustic levitation. When sound waves of the right frequency intersect, they create standing waves, areas of high and low pressure that remain stationary. Objects placed at the pressure nodes can be suspended, held aloft by nothing but vibration. Scientists use this technique to manipulate droplets, insects, even small electronic components without touching them. It's not magic, it's physics. Sound exerting pressure, pushing and pulling with invisible hands. Sound is not just a messenger, but a force. It can hold what gravity pulls, shape what touch would damage. A reminder that vibration is another word for power. Drift in that invisible strength, sensing the gentle hands of sound around you. And now, imagine fire bending to this power, surrendering to vibration rather than force. Certain frequencies of sound can disrupt flames and extinguish fires. Sound waves create pressure changes in the air at the right frequency, typically low bass tones around 30 to 60 hertz. These pressure fluctuations can separate oxygen from the fuel source, disrupting the combustion reaction. The sound essentially pushes the flame's oxygen away, smothering it without water or chemicals. Researchers have developed acoustic fire extinguishers that use focused sound waves to put out small fires, especially useful in environments where traditional extinguishers could cause damage. Even fire, ancient and elemental, bows to sound. Vibration can unmake what heat creates, proving that the loudest force is not always the strongest. Let the heat of that image cool into calm. Feel the pulse of warm air carrying sound faster, bending the world around its waves. Temperature changes the speed of sound. Warmer air carries it faster than cold. Sound speed depends on how quickly molecules can transfer energy. In warm air, molecules move faster and collide more frequently, allowing sound waves to propagate quicker. At 0 degrees Celsius, sound travels at about 331 meters per second. At 20 degrees Celsius, it speeds up to 343 meters per second. This is why sound can seem to travel differently across a landscape depending on the time of day. Temperature gradients bend and warp the path of sound, creating acoustic mirages. Sound is restless in warmth, sluggish in cold. Even vibration feels the seasons, speeding and slowing with the breath of the world. Drift along with that restless pulse, sensing the seasons in your own breathing. And now, imagine a single human voice, powerful enough to break fragile glass. A human voice can shatter glass if it hits the right resonant frequency. Every object has a natural frequency at which it vibrates most easily, its resonant frequency. For a wine glass, this is typically between 400 to 500 hertz. If you sing or amplify that exact pitch loud enough, the glass begins to vibrate. Keep the sound going, and the vibrations grow stronger and stronger until the glass can't handle the stress and shatters. It's the same principle that can make bridges sway or buildings hum. Resonance is amplification, and amplification can mean destruction. Fragility hides in frequency. The same note that makes a glass sing can also make it scream, then break. Harmony and destruction are sometimes separated by nothing more than volume. Let the thought of fragile resonance dissolve like wind through crystal. And now, imagine sound becoming a hand, holding what it touches without weight. Sound waves can hold small objects in midair, functioning like an invisible tractor beam. By carefully controlling the phase and intensity of ultrasonic waves, researchers can create acoustic traps, three-dimensional cages made of sound that can hold and move tiny objects. This works because sound waves exert radiation pressure. When arranged precisely, these pressures can counteract gravity, suspending particles, droplets, or even small creatures. Scientists envision using this for contactless manufacturing, assembling delicate components without the risk of contamination. What science fiction imagined, physics delivers. Sound becomes a hand without fingers, a force without mass, proof that the invisible can still grasp. Drift with that unseen hand, gently lifting you into curiosity. Let the waves bend around corners, unseen yet persistent. Sound waves can diffract, bending around obstacles and corners. Unlike light, which travels in straight lines, sound can wrap around objects. This is called diffraction. When a sound wave encounters a barrier, it doesn't just stop. It bends around the edges, filling in the space behind. This is why you can hear someone calling from around a corner, even though you can't see them. Lower frequencies diffract more easily, which is why bass from a distant concert travels farther and wraps around buildings better than high-pitched treble. Sound is patient and relentless. It finds paths where light fails, creeping around corners, filling every shadow. It's a reminder that obstacles are not endings, just detours. Let that patience seep into your own awareness, feeling persistence in every quiet vibration. Now, notice how sound can peer inside the body itself. Medical ultrasound uses high-frequency sound waves to create images of the inside of the body. Ultrasound machines emit sound waves far above human hearing, typically 2 to 18 million hertz. These waves penetrate the body and bounce back when they hit different tissues. A computer analyzes the returning echoes and constructs an image based on their timing and intensity. It's echolocation turned inward, a way of seeing through sound. Unlike X-rays, ultrasound uses no radiation, making it safe for imaging developing fetuses, organs, and blood flow. We map the invisible with echoes. What bats use to hunt in darkness, we use to witness life before birth. Sound sees where light cannot. Drift through the gentle pulses, feeling life revealed in quiet waves. And now, notice how even crystals whisper with electricity when touched by vibration. The piezoelectric effect allows some crystals to convert sound vibrations into electrical current. Piezoelectric materials, like quartz, generate an electric charge when mechanically stressed. Press, twist, or vibrate them, and electrons shift, creating voltage. This works in reverse too. Apply electricity, and they vibrate. This principle powers everything from ultrasound transducers to microphones to the tiny oscillators that keep your watch ticking. Sound becomes electricity. Electricity becomes sound, a transformation as elegant as it is useful. Matter and energy whisper to each other in the language of vibration. A crystal is not just stone, it's a translator, turning motion into spark. Drift with that quiet spark, feeling the invisible dialogue between motion and energy. And now, we turn to the voices of the natural world, alive with song beyond our normal hearing. Piranhas can produce barking sounds using muscles near their swim bladder. When threatened or competing for dominance, piranhas contract muscles connected to their swim bladder, an air-filled organ that helps them control buoyancy. These rapid contractions cause the bladder to vibrate, producing sharp, bark-like sounds. Different species make different noises. Some grunt, some croak. The sounds serve as warnings, territorial claims, or calls during feeding frenzies. Underwater, these fish are far from silent. Even piranhas have a voice, hidden beneath the surface. The water is full of conversations we never hear, proof that silence is often just the wrong place to listen. Drift gently beneath the surface, feeling the hidden chatter of the water. Let your mind float among these secret voices, soft as bubbles rising. As we meet the smallest of speakers, some tiny frogs produce calls that sound remarkably like a squeaky toy. The desert rain frog of South Africa, despite being only about 2 inches long, makes a loud, high-pitched squeak when disturbed. The sound is produced by rapidly inflating its body with air, creating pressure that forces vibrations through its vocal cords. The result is a cartoonish chirp that seems far too loud for such a small creature. It's both a defense mechanism and a mating call, an announcement that says, "I may be small, but I'm here." Size is no measure of voice. The smallest creatures can demand to be heard, filling the night with sounds that outlast them. Let that tiny but insistent call echo softly in your mind, a reminder that even the smallest note can carry far. Drift now into the world of creatures that see with sound itself. Bats and dolphins navigate and hunt using echoes, mapping the world through sound. Echolocation works by emitting rapid pulses of sound, clicks, or ultrasonic chirps, and listening for the echoes that bounce back. The timing, intensity, and frequency changes in the returning sound reveal the location, size, shape, and even texture of objects. Bats can detect a single mosquito in complete darkness. Dolphins can see through murky water, distinguishing a fish from a rock from hundreds of feet away. For them, sound is not just communication, it's vision. Some creatures have learned to see with their voices. They sing the world into shape, hearing what we can only touch. In their darkness, sound is light. Drift in that light of sound, letting echoes paint the world around you. Feel the pulse of life beneath the waves, ready to meet the ocean's deepest and loudest voices. Sperm whales produce sonar blasts so powerful they can stun or even kill prey. Sperm whales generate the loudest biological sounds on Earth, clicks that can reach 230 decibels. For context, A jet engine at takeoff is around 140 decibels. These clicks are focused through a structure in the whale's head called the spermaceti organ, creating a narrow beam of sound that they aim at prey like squid. The intensity can disorient, paralyze, or even cause physical trauma to the target. It's weaponized sound, evolution's sonar cannon. The ocean's giants carry thunder in their skulls. Sound, concentrated, becomes violence. A voice that doesn't ask but commands. Drift with the quiet of that power, letting the ocean's deep vibrations hum through your chest. Howler monkeys are among the loudest land animals. In the rainforests of Central and South America, howler monkeys announce their presence with calls that can be heard 3 miles away. The sound is deep and carries far, a sustained roar that rolls through the canopy. Even from miles away, you can hear its distinctive quality, primal and unmistakable. Yet there is something steady about it, a rhythm to the calls that becomes part of the forest's morning routine. For such a powerful sound to come from a relatively small creature shows how evolution finds unexpected solutions. Inside their throats lies a hollow, bowl-shaped bone called the hyoid, enlarged and curved like a natural echo chamber. When they call, air reverberates through it, amplifying their voices into a force that seems too great for their size. This deep resonance helps them claim their territory, find one another through thick jungle layers, and warn off rivals before they ever meet. To hear a howler monkey is to hear the forest speak, ancient, alive, and unashamed of its voice. It's a sound that reminds us that nature does not whisper its presence. It declares it with power and grace again and again as the day begins. Found throughout North America, the northern mockingbird is a master of imitation and memory. Unlike most birds that are born with a fixed set of songs, the mockingbird learns by listening. It can pick up new tunes from its surroundings, calls of neighboring species, the chirp of insects, or even the rhythmic beeps of machinery, and then reproduce them with astonishing accuracy. What makes the mockingbird remarkable isn't just its talent for copying, but its creativity. Each bird builds a personal library of sounds, often arranging them into musical sequences. When it sings, it cycles through its collection, repeating each borrowed sound a few times before moving to the next, creating a fluid medley that can last for minutes on end. Over time, individuals may gather hundreds of distinct phrases, expanding their repertoire year after year. Males are especially vocal during the breeding season. They sing to attract a mate, to announce ownership of territory, and to deter rivals. In spring and early summer, you can sometimes hear them singing long after sunset, perched beneath streetlights or on the edges of open fields. Their songs can be bright and joyful during the day, then soft and haunting at night, each phrase both familiar and strange, echoing pieces of the world around them. Researchers believe this mimicry is not random. By demonstrating their ability to learn and remember complex sounds, males show potential mates that they are healthy, intelligent, and attentive to their surroundings. Their performances are not simply mimicry, they are evidence of adaptability and endurance, of a mind tuned to the rhythm of life. The mockingbird is more than an imitator. It is a storyteller of sound. In its voice live echoes of the places it has traveled and the creatures it has known. Each song is both repetition and reinvention, proof that memory can become music and that beauty can be built from the ordinary. To hear a mockingbird sing is to witness nature's quiet genius, a single throat carrying the chorus of the living world. Its voice reminds us that every sound, no matter how fleeting, has a place in the great, ongoing conversation of life. Singing sand dunes occur when wind turns dunes into natural drums. In certain deserts, dunes emit deep, resonant hums when sand slides down their slopes. The sound can be loud enough to hear from miles away. Some describe it as a low rumble, others as a musical tone that holds steady for minutes at a time. The mechanism involves sand grains of a particular size and moisture level, vibrating together in unison. When an avalanche begins, millions of grains tumble downward, and if conditions are just right, they synchronize. Each grain pushes against the next in a rhythmic pattern, creating waves of vibration that build and resonate through the entire dune. The dune becomes a musical instrument, played by wind and gravity, its voice emerging from the friction of countless particles moving as one. The phenomenon is rare. Not every desert has singing sands. The grains must be round, uniform, and dry enough to flow freely, yet contain just enough moisture to maintain friction. Scientists have studied these dunes for decades, yet the exact physics remains partially mysterious. Some believe the sound comes from the surface layer. Others think it resonates from deep within. What is known is that the frequency depends on the size of the grains and the speed of their descent. Larger grains produce deeper tones, smaller ones higher pitches. The dune selects its own note. These singing sands have inspired myths and legends across cultures. In some traditions, they were voices of spirits or jinn, guardians of the desert speaking to those who dared cross. In others, they were omens, messages from the earth itself. Travelers reported hearing the sound at dawn or dusk, when temperature shifts cause sand to slip and cascade. The voice would rise without warning, fill the air with its presence, then fade back into silence as mysteriously as it came. To stand beside a singing dune is to witness something ancient and strange, a reminder that the earth itself can create music without intent, without audience, simply because the conditions aligned. The desert has a voice, deep and ancient. Sand remembers how to sing, a sound that predates memory, older than cities, older than names. It is not made for us, yet we can hear it if we listen. A drone from the earth, patient and indifferent, playing itself in the empty places where wind and stone meet. In cities around the world, people report hearing a persistent low-frequency hum, and scientists still don't fully understand its source. Often called the hum, this sound is typically described as a steady, low droning tone, somewhere between 30 and 80 hertz. Too low for many ears to detect clearly. Only about 2% of people report hearing it, and those who do often describe it as a faint engine idling just out of sight, or a pressure that seems to hum from the air itself. It is most noticeable at night, when traffic quiets and background noise fades. or when indoors, where walls seem to amplify the sensation rather than silence it. Over the years, researchers have searched for its cause. Some suspect it may come from industrial sources, diesel engines, ventilation systems, or long-distance power lines. Others point toward natural origins such as seismic vibrations, ocean waves, or subtle shifts within the Earth's crust. In some cases, the sound may arise within the listener's own body, a form of tinnitus shaped by the ear's sensitivity to low frequencies. Yet, despite decades of studies in places like Bristol, Taos, and Windsor, no single explanation accounts for all reports. The hum seems to exist between the measurable and the mysterious, real to those who hear it, invisible to the instruments meant to find it. Some sounds refuse to be pinned down. The hum lingers at the border between the external world and inner perception, a reminder that not all vibrations meet the ear in the same way. It is a whisper from the unseen, a quiet resonance that humbles our certainty. Even in an age of satellites and sensors, the Earth still keeps secrets that can only be felt rather than understood. A reminder that the world still hums with mystery, just below the threshold of hearing. In the vast Pacific Ocean, underwater microphones, called hydrophones, have captured a strange and haunting sound known as upsweep, a long, rising tone of mysterious origin that has puzzled scientists for decades. First detected in the early 1990s by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, upsweep is unlike any sound known to come from marine life or ships. It is composed of a series of narrow-band tones that rise in pitch over time, forming a kind of slow, ascending pattern, almost like an unseen hand drawing a sound upward through water. These tones repeat in regular intervals, echoing across thousands of miles of open ocean. Recordings show that the sound tends to be strongest in spring and autumn, suggesting a possible link to temperature changes or ocean currents. Many researchers believe upsweep may be produced by volcanic or hydrothermal activity deep beneath the Pacific. Perhaps superheated water escaping from vents or magma interacting with seawater far below the surface. Yet, despite years of analysis, no single source has been found. The signal persists, fading slowly over the decades, as if the Earth itself is exhaling a tone too vast to interpret. Upsweep reminds scientists of how alive the ocean floor truly is, shifting, breathing, and murmuring in ways that remain hidden from sight. Beneath miles of pressure and darkness, our planet continues to speak through vibrations we can barely record, much less translate. The sea remembers things we have never known. Upsweep is one of those memories, an ancient voice without a face, echoing through a blue wilderness that has never felt the sun. It is the sound of the planet thinking in slow motion, whispering through salt and stone, reminding us that even now, in an age of deep exploration, the ocean still keeps its secrets close. From the deepest infrasound to the tiny squeaks of desert frogs, from echoes that guide dolphins to thundering whale clicks, the world is alive with sound beyond what the ear alone perceives. Every vibration, every resonance, carries stories, some gentle, some fierce, all profound. As you lie here, let your body become part of that symphony. Feel each subtle pulse, each whispering wave, each hidden song. Let it carry you into rest, a calm voyage through the architecture of sound, where knowledge and wonder drift together, and silence itself becomes a kind of music. Sleep now, listening with every cell of your being. The world continues to hum, to ripple, to sing, and you are safe within it, cradled by sound. Good night.